first it must be caught or declared to be thrown. So if I want to catch it or must be caught, so if I want to do that, I'll just add a try catch block over here. So we'll have a try followed by the catch block, and inside the catch we pass the parameter of exception. So either we do this, in which case the error goes away, or our second option is must be declared. And if we have to declare this, so declaring is done using the throws keyword, the throw new IO exception statement. Throw new IO exception. Now if I want to declare this function, I will do something like this, throws IO exception. Now if I've done this, then let's see, we are still expecting an error because the chain is not complete. Let's have a look. So yes, unreported exception must be caught or declared again. So what's happening over here is, now as I said, that you have to catch it, that is handle it, or you have to declare it. Now you'll say that I have declared it over here. Why is the error still not going? Because your function 2 also calls function 3. In fact, your function 2 only calls function 3 in this case. And because your function 2 has not declared that particular IO exception, that is throws IO exception, hence we're getting the error. So if we want to actually, not handle it at all, then we'll do something like this over here. We will declare function 2 also to throws IO exception, and similarly function 1 also to throws IO exception, and finally the main function as well to throws IO exception or to declare the IO exception. So now let's try compiling it, and now it compiles perfectly fine. So this is the difference between the throw keyword and the throws keyword. So throw is actually used to generate a new exception object which has to be handled somewhere inside your code, and we have the throws keyword which actually declares your exception. So when I say declare, I actually mean that this function is saying that listen, I may throw an exception, and which exception? I may throw an IO exception. The implementation is quite simple. You have just one statement, throw new IO exception. But in your real cases, you might have complex codes. You might have something like, if so and so condition is true, then only throw new IO exception, else don't. So when I say throws suggests that you may throw an exception, that is true in the sense that your function 3 may throw an exception. And if your function 3 may throw an exception, then either your function 2 should handle it or it should declare it again. So your function 2 over here is not handling it, and hence we will write throws again. Similarly for function 1 is also not handling it, and similarly for function 1, your function 1 can either handle it or declare it. We have chose the second option, that we have chose to declare it. And finally, your main function also has two options. Either you handle the exception which may be thrown from function 1, which is originating from function 2, which is actually originating from function 3, and which comes from this particular statement. So your main has the option of either handling this particular function call or declaring the IO exception. So that is a brief difference between the throw and the throws keyword. And what we just saw over here is exception propagation. You have successfully propagated your exception from function 3 to function 2 to function 1 to your main function, and after your main function realizes that, oh my god, I haven't handled the exception, it will return this object to the JVM, and the JVM will print the same onto your CMD. Let's have a look. We simply try and run this program. So we have java c space exception demo.java, and we will also run it. So java space exception demo, and as you can see, exception in thread main java.io exception at, now see, this is your originating point. The first statement will always be the originating point. So line 17 has actually generated your exception, which was forwarded to line 13, which is function 2, to function 1, which is line 9, to the main function, which is line 5. So if you note this whenever you're dealing with exceptions, always remember to check the first line. So 17 is where the exception was generated, and this over here is 17, as you can see. So it was generated over here, forwarded over here to 13, forwarded over here to 9, 9 to 5. And by doing so, we have reached the main function. We realize that it has not been handled yet, which returns this particular exception object to the JVM, and the JVM flushes this onto your CMD output, as we just saw. So this is how the throws and the throw keyword come into the picture.